What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Fatboy FadeAway here. It's just gonna be me and my brother this morning here. Tyler's absent at the moment here, so it's just gonna be me and Casey doing a little MLB revisit here. We're gonna start with Major League Baseball. Let's start with the A's first, man, because let's just get right into it because it's been a while since the A's finally have made it past the first round. 2006 to be exact. They beat the Minnesota Twins in three games. It feels good to have the monkey off the back for a little bit. They definitely made it stressful, taking it all three games against the White Sox in the first round to the limit. Game one was a total disaster. They lost 4-1. It was basically a no-show. They were getting no hit through 6 innings. I remember tweeting during the game. Now that I'm getting a little bit more used to it, these guys are horrible. We need to change it around. Like, what's going on? And then after the game, I was pretty frustrated too about it. Like, just like, what's going? Like, why can't we hit in the playoffs? They just strike out so much in the playoffs. And it was funny. There was a few people tweeting like some gifs of like, somebody like, I believe, and stuff like that. And so it did come through because game two, Bassett pitched well. He gets A's back on track there. And we'll kind of get into game two a little bit more here in a little bit and then finish it up game three. They ended up pulling it out. So for us, Case, I know it was a big day for them to be able to advance past that first round. So what's your initial thoughts of the A's finally doing that?
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. I was like, man, it's been so long. I just expected them to lose. I was just like, yeah, I love the rep on the shirt and behind. You got the A's. Let's go.
But, I wore it last week on the podcast, so I'm going to keep until they lose, right? We got to keep the mojo going. And now that I won't be able to see you guys until next Sunday with the podcast, right? The playoffs are set up now where they play 5 straight games. So if the A's were to go 5 games against the Astros, it would be Monday through Friday. So we'll know next podcast who's won it. So I got to bust it out for good luck this week.
Yeah, just don't wash it. Don't wash it.
Just don't.
Yeah, no.
Just wear it for this occasion.
But yeah, no, to keep it real, I was like, I had no confidence going into that game 3. I was just like, they just find a way to lose all the time. But,
that's what it is, huh?
They just find,
as an A's fan, I think people online they were like kind of getting a little like, why are you being so pessimistic? But I think over time you just kind of built up. That's the results you're usually used to.
Yeah, no, it's just like I was thinking about it. I was just like, I didn't even watch the game. I didn't want to watch it. Was
it helpful in that regard? I was telling Hannah as maybe it helped our marriage a little bit that the games were on at noon and I was working because I wasn't here. I wasn't here for the stress.
I get home and check my ESPN app, and I was like, game 1, they lost. And I was just like, shook my head. Game 2, my buddy called me. He's like, hey, did you watch the A's game? And I was like, no, I kind of forgot they were playing. He's like, how'd you forget? I was like, because I can't stand this. Then he's just like, no, they won. I was like, cool. Then I was like, game 3, and I was like, it's an elimination game. Here we go. They're going to find some way to freaking blow this. And they got down early. They got down early, and I was just like, God, here we go again. And then I believe, I forget who it was. They came up with a huge hit. Or no, it was 2 key walks.
Well, let's get into that real quick. Let's get into the game a little bit. That kind of changed a little bit here since this is kind of our A segment here. So game 1, we talked about this. It was very disappointing because they struggle on these one game eliminations, and they showed up very flat. It was an interesting call for them to go with Luzardo to begin with. And a lot of people question Melvin for that because the White Sox having a 15-0 record against lefties, which is an interesting stat for them. For the A's, who are an analytic ball club, to throw a lefty, knowing that, anyways, you know what I mean? Like, Luzardo might end up being their best pitcher in a few years, and maybe even next year. But it still just was kind of an odd decision of the A's, who usually heavily rely on analytics. Now, Luzardo didn't pitch, I guess, like horrible, but he definitely didn't pitch great by any means either. So he didn't even get through, I believe, 4 innings before they had to take him out and get to the bullpen. But the more disappointing side in game 1 was the offense. 3 hits, just very poor at bats, not really being challenged. So I think it left the fan base, or left me very just kind of like, yeah, that's what we expect. Not very. In some ways, I didn't want to get my expectations up too high because they have crushed it so much like that. They've done it like that so the last 2 years too.
I think the A's have 3 clutch players, and I love them.
All right, well, let's let you hear because I would maybe disagree. So let's hear who they are.
Number 1 is Mark Canha. He takes the best bets, and he made a big play in the outfield.
That was a huge play,
like massive play, like that changed. And
game 2. I think that was a game-saving play. Yeah,
no doubt that changed the whole series. I think that, like, I was like, if that gets through, you know, it's funny because he was brought up as like a utility guy, and now you look at him, he's like an everyday player.
Yeah, he's one of their better. He's one of their better. He's like one of those grinder at bats. Yeah.
He's a cornerstone to the franchise. Where I was like, he's an Oakland A. Like, he can play 5 positions.
No, that's a good call. He's been with the franchise and he's able to play multiple positions. He's very valuable to him at this point.
Number 2 is Marcus Semien. I just love Marcus Semien. He's the man. And then
let's hear number 3.
Number 3, I kind of thought about it, and I was like, Tommy La Stella.
He was the guy I put actually number 1 because I actually thought I was like, for the A's to get advanced far in these playoffs because their offense is not very good this year. It's actually pretty poor compared to like how it's been in the past. Like I think Tommy La Stella is the key because he's batting leadoff. He's their best like contact hitter.
Mm-hmm.
And in the playoffs, you like those guys like Scudero who did come through for the A's in 2006, or like you look at all these other teams, like the Giants being in the Bay Area, the success they had in those years. It's like it's just it's sometimes in the playoffs, it's just the guys that make contact with guys on base. Like really, that's all it is. That's why I get frustrated with the A's sometimes. I think they've had failures in these one-game playoffs is because they strike out so much with runners in scoring position. And I feel like that is their issue this year too offensively is when you bat 225, regardless if you're walking a decent amount, but even this year they're down in their OPS. It's way down. So that Tommy La Stella pickup was huge. So I'm hoping you're right about – because Semien did play well. So if you have Semien and La Stella playing well at the top of the order, maybe that gives – Grossman and Olsen and Canha and maybe like at this point I'm done with Chris Davis, but somebody else a chance to knock in those guys to get
Murphy hit it big. Murphy came at clutch though.
Do you think he bats 9th still next series?
Man, I don't know.
I think they bat him there because he's comfortable there.
Yeah,
but I was thinking he's so hot, maybe they got to move him up.
Yeah, I mean, you got to put Chris Davis like at 9, man. He hit a home run, but that's
maybe 9.5.
God, it's like throwing a baseball and hitting in the dark. I'm like, man, like if you hit it once in a while, you know, but like he just has no confidence. I don't know what happened to him. I get so frustrated. Like he's swinging at bulbs like 2 feet away, and I'm like, dude, this is not good. Like every time he comes up, I'm just like, it's a strikeout. I have no confidence at all. But then
yes, we'll see what happens.
I wanted to touch on one thing though, real quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
So I thought the best decision, Bob Melvin. I think he's a great coach. And I don't know, you know, the hierarchy, how it goes. Like you can pitch this guy or that guy, and we kind of touched on that. I think last year they really learned from not starting Mike Fiers in that Yankees game and went bullpen committee from the beginning. Because I'm like, eventually you gotta just go with
what game though?
Remember last year when they started? I think it was Liam Hendricks in the first inning.
Yeah, but you're talking about this year. They went with Fiers. They're saying they're going to go. Well, Fiers, he didn't last very long though.
He didn't last long, but I mean that's playoffs. But as long as you don't give up that 3-run first inning, you know, that 4-run or 2 runs, you know, it doesn't put you so behind. I'm not saying he pitched great at all.
Because that's why he didn't have the blow up inning, but he still gave up 3 runs in less than 2 innings. But I hear your point. He didn't. The problem I have, I don't trust Fiers is he doesn't have strikeout stuff enough. There's occasions where he, if his curveball is really good, like he can have this no hitter stuff that he has thrown 2 no hitters, but especially against the Astros, his history against the Astros is like really bad. Like, I mean, like really bad. Like, I think in like the 8 ERA wise. So for this series coming up, let's talk about it for just a minute here before we move on to a different topic is who the A's start. I don't, to be honest with you, I don't really feel that great about the A's starting rotation. I think we can both be honest about that. I think their strength is their bullpen. I mean, that's where they're if they can get into the 6th inning and be a close game, that's how they've proven they have success. They come back and win because their bullpen keeps it close, and they have Hercules in there at the end to close out the games there. What a performance by him, by the way, though. Throwing 49 pitches in game. That was the move that I thought was weird. It was in game 2. He brought in Hendricks up 5-0, and he didn't pitch so well, and he ends up throwing 49 pitches in game 2. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, there's no way he's going to come back for game 3, right? I mean, his season high was like 28 pitches before that. So he like basically doubles that up. But he does come back to his credit. He does give up the leadoff single, but then he BBs 99 for the next 3 guys, and he strikes out the side. So you got to say, as an A's fan too, it was kind of nice to have that closer finally shut the door when we needed him to too. I mean, we've had a few chances in the closer, just like Houston Street wasn't able to do it a few times. Billy, there's a few other guys that that just had their moments and didn't able to get it done for us. So it was nice to have him nail it down.
Jason Isringhausen. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Yeah, I know for sure he was a good one there. So a couple of things here MLB wise, we got into our A's there. So they play the Astros this coming week. That should be a really good series. I noticed all 4. It's got the AL West, NL West, AL East, NL East. Those are the matchups. So you got the A's and the Astros first, and then in one you got.
Did you hear that?
Playing at,
Did you hear that?
What? No, the trash can.
The garbage.
The garbage can's good. Well, hopefully with no stands, hopefully with no fans there, they will be able to hear it a lot easier. So that's a good series, obviously. Then we got the Yankees, Rays. They have a little hate. They have big time hatred over their history. This year they got into it already, so that's a good matchup. NL East, I mean, it's a division rivalry, but I think we can both say it's not a sexy matchup. Is the Marlins and Braves. The Braves are fun to watch, but the Marlins kind of just don't put it as that exciting. And then the final one, probably the one I'm looking forward to the most outside the A's Astros is Dodgers versus the Padres. So those are the matchups for the baseball. It gets down to the nitty gritty here. The real kind of normal playoffs we're used to with the top 4 being left here. So should be fun. Is there one series that kind of jumps out to you besides maybe our A's Astros?
Padres and Dodgers for sure. I mean, I predicted that Dodgers and A's would be in the World Series, but
You did?
I always want the underdog. I'm an underdog type guy, but I was like, I really want to see the Dodgers and A's because I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to see that matchup again, bring back the old times. And the only memory I have is seeing Kirk Gibson destroy all A's fans with the Dennis Eckersley walk-off home runs. I want to see it the other way. And I don't want to see
my prediction that you'll be happy about is I picked the A's over the Dodgers. Updated my prediction: A's Dodgers, Hendricks MVP in 6 games. So that's my prediction for the playoffs. Because I feel like if the A's are to win the World Series, they're probably going to need him to close 3 of the 4 games.
Same Mark Canha MVP.
Mark Canha. All right, Cal product. We're good with that. Those are some of the matchups in the major leagues I'm looking forward to. A lot of people have been. We talked about this last week on the pod with Tyler when you're out on assignment. We were.
You got to clarify
about how
I wasn't on the COVID-19 list, right?
No, I said you're out. We said you're out on assignment digging ditches. That was our thing.
Clarifying for that.
Exactly. But we were talking last week about how just some of they made it through. They were questioning. We weren't thinking they were even going to be. It was a struggle at the beginning, and now it's kind of nice that they, for whatever it's worth, they still were able to kind of get to the point they're at now. So hopefully they'll be able to just finish out these playoffs. The thing that's also interesting about these playoffs that I thought will have a kind of a final say, I think, in it is totally different is because of COVID, they're having no off days. So that makes a big difference in the playoffs. I like it too. But I'm saying that really makes the strategy of the managers difference, right? Because if you have an off day, sometimes you can get back a starting pitcher earlier, right? B, you can use your best relief pitchers a little bit more because of days off. So it will be interesting. The Astros aren't known this year for having a good bullpen. So as from an A's fan perspective, I'm hoping that will be our advantage. It's like if the series kind of trickles down more than like a sweep, do the Astros have enough bodies down there more than, because the A's do have a lot of good bullpen guys, or they should. So I think that's where maybe the A's have that advantage, because I still like the Astros lineup more than the A's. I mean, I think you would still probably trade most of the players for theirs on the hitting standpoint.
It's kind of weird because, like, when you look at the A's, and I picked them, obviously, and I'm a little biased. Not a little, I am biased. I was just and they have a complete roster, though. It reminds me a little bit. But no, it just reminds me a little bit of, like, the 2012 Giants.
Oh, yeah. No, it does have a little bit of that feel.
They have a lot of misfits, but they have a great bullpen. They have a couple spot starters. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, you see LaStella, Canna, I'm like, these guys take great at bats. And then you have, like, one guy, and I'm like, Olsen that can kind of hit a jack from time to time. I mean,
like a belt. Yeah, I was kind of thinking more the 2010, only because I think I was comparing Hendricks and Brian Wilson more. Yeah. And Romo was the closer in 12. So I think that's where my mind more goes towards 10. But I see they both have a lot of similarities still. Like Belt's kind of like an Olsen, hopefully, and like Ryan Renteria is kind of like your Simeon that can be kind of like a solid player and stuff like that. So
one trash. They're all just kind of
they're all pretty solid players. Yeah. And now they've been playing for a while, big games, so they're ready. They're ready to win. So anyway, so baseball. It was good out there this week. Be watching the games this week. The only thing I'm pissed about is Major League Baseball having the game still on at 1:00 for the A's. So that's a little frustrating, a little BS. But what do you expect when the Yankees and Dodgers are in the postseason at the same time? You're probably just not going to get the primetime games.
These East Coast people are bitching at us. Our games start at 10 at night for basketball, so don't complain about that.
That's just stupid. I don't know why I made you mad. Like, why do you start a game at 8 o'clock?
They're like, you are so damn spoiled with Cali, and you don't even know. You're bitching and complaining about a 12 o'clock start when we got to stay up till 10 to watch an NBA game.
They're East Coast people. They're used to that stuff. They should have that. Yeah, you're right, though. No, you're right. Yeah, to our East Coast fans, that is a good point there. Yeah, you're right. Because like when those games, like those baseball games start at 8 and then they go till like midnight. It's like, it's a pretty long game right there.
God.
Well, longer, some of them. Some of them go longer.
TNT gets wrapped up for basketball. Like,
basketball does like what? Yeah, if you want to stay up for the West Coast games, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So that's our baseball segment here. We'll take a little break here. We'll be right back here with our thoughts on the NBA Finals here. And we're back here on the Fatboy FadeAway here. We're going to do our back here doing the basketball talk. We just finished up our baseball talking there. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave us some comments below, please, on maybe your predictions for the baseball playoffs there. Maybe who you got finishing up, who you got winning it all. Now we're going to move on to the NBA here. Kind of get into the finals a little bit. Talk about some of the other news and notes that were around the NBA here, get us caught up on some of the interesting things around here. So let's just do a quick hit case here on the finals here. Let's get everybody caught up slightly. So game 1, a real snooze fest. Lakers win 116
by 32. Terrible.
98. Lakers got up 30-1, 28 after 1. But then they went up. Then they outscored the Heat by 23 in the next 2 quarters. And they were up as much as 30 in that game. The big news in that game 1, obviously, was Gordon Dragic, the starting point guard for the Heat, going down. The other big news was Bam went down with a neck injury, shoulder kind of slash everything, I believe, from the other series as well. So he missed game 2 as well. So that was the news there. The other news out of game 1 that was interesting was the Heat did have a little relevance with with none. Their second-year guard, he ended up playing very well, so maybe he could be a little factor here moving forward in the rest of the series. So game one was basically a snooze fest. Anthony Davis and LeBron looked terrific in that game right there. We go to game two here real quick. He hung in there a little bit, Case. They hung in there really probably I'd say through that first half. They hung in there. It never felt like they were going to win, but they definitely hung in there. And then as soon as the Lakers kind of went in old Warrior mode and cranked up that D and just got out on shooters and harassed them, their talent just overwhelmed the Heat's talent, it just seemed like. So they were able to win 124-114. Before I get into some other questions I have for you, anything in those first two games you wanted to that pointed out to you that stuck out?
I mean, yeah, there was a couple, man. I've been, you know me, I'm a big basketball fan. Probably, I loved it. I'm so disappointed in this NBA Finals, man. I thought it was going to be so much more, and then Bam going out, Bam Adebayo, and Goran Dragic. I mean, injury's going to happen. It's just kind of sucks. The last two finals, it's like the two best players on the opposite team, maybe not the two best, but two most important, I think, went down. And, with Clay going,
and that's the thing is, like, doesn't that make it kind of frustrating, huh?
Yeah, it just pisses me off because you always want to see the best against the best. And I don't know. I'm not saying I always call LeBron the GOAT, and you know how I feel about that. But it just doesn't feel right this time. I don't know. I mean, it is. You play the games, Do we
give LeBron the Warriors treatment from 2015, Case?
What's that, bud?
Like, do we give LeBron the Warriors treatment from 2015, where the Warriors? Everybody gave the Warriors crap for beating teams that were beat up, right?
Yeah, I mean, they missed all point guards. No Conley, no Kyrie, no Kevin Love. Like, it was just like
I just feel like that's out of your control if you're a player, right? I mean, it's like you just play who's in front of you.
Yeah, no, I just meant as like an NBA fan, I just wanted to see like, what it'd be like, playing like a full strength. But I don't think the Heat would have won. I think it would have gone 6, and the Lakers, like I said, probably blow them out 4 times, but the Heat would win 2 close games. But now
I don't know, man. My argument to you, their case would be, if I'm playing devil's advocate and I'm looking at the series the other way, I'm saying, well, Dragic, if he's healthy, I mean, who are the Lakers going to put on him that's going to guard him? I mean, he's pretty crafty. He was kind of getting what he wanted in that first half, right? If I'm trying to be optimistic as a Heats fan, I'm saying, all right, Dragic is a key factor, obviously. And then if you have a healthy Bam, maybe he gives Davis a chance there. Maybe to at least get maybe like you said, to make the series a little bit more interesting. But the one thing I noticed with the Lakers is they do have trouble with guarding those point guards. And so Dragic being out, I think, is the Bam, obviously. I mean, it literally is like they're two almost more like, Butler's better, right? But it's like they're two critical players because they don't have anything else to really fill that gap. Like with Butler out, it's like, well, maybe they could replace his scoring with somebody else. But the other two, I just feel like they can't really replace what Dragic does, and they definitely can't replace what Bam does.
Yeah. No, the second game, I was watching and I was like, man, it feels like just a professional
Starting
team.
Myers Leonard, by the way.
Yeah. Myers Leonard. Aisle 5, Myers Leonard. But, yeah, no, I was just like – I just watched – thought it was a professional basketball team playing against like a college basketball team. Because
did he kind of have that feel of the Warriors versus the Cavs a few years ago?
I looked on the floor and I was like, man, there's legitimately 4 guys that are 6'8", and the Heat have guys that are 6'5", 6'6". So I mean, Anthony Davis made it like a little kid. Like everyone else, like it was just like, I'm gonna grab the rebound over your head, thank you, dunk it, LeBron, thank you, dunk. Like there was like one possession where literally I think LeBron and AD were just playing patty cakes on the rebound, like 5. It was ridiculous. I was just looking at it, I was just like,
it kind of looked like
I'm a short man myself. I'm 5'9", so like I play basketball. I'm like, it's so frustrating when you can't just, you can't do that. I mean, they're 6'5", 6'6", and they're 6'7". 6'8", 6'9", 7 feet, and it was just like on the floor that one time it was Dwight Howard, Anthony Davis, and LeBron. I looked and I'm just like Duncan Robinson, Jimmy Butler,
It did at times.
I'm just like what are you like? Are you serious? Like
At times, it did look like a 1 versus 16 matchup there with the height advantage that the Lakers had possessed. It was like those one teams have coming in against the Citadels of the world or whoever they play in the first round. So it was a little crazy. Yeah, so those are some good points there about the first couple games. So let's move on to game 3 a little bit and then kind of touch back on some of the points about what I noticed in the NBA Finals here before we wrap it up here with our NBA segment here for the week. Game 3 here, Lakers are favored by 10 points. Over under tonight is 218. I definitely like the under in that, or the over in this one tonight. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game. So I think 218. You can go over there. The line in basketball, I just never feel confident ever betting because the Heat can be down like 8. I can see them hitting like 6 points in the last like 30 seconds. Or, just something stupid. So I never would bet ever the line in basketball. I do not feel confident ever betting that. But if I'm going to be fun with it, I do think the Heat. I'm going to say the Heat keep it within 10 tonight. I'm going to say the Heat lose, but I think they can lose like by single digits. So that would be my prediction for tonight. What do you think? You think the Heat maybe can pull it out tonight, or? I mean, if they do, what do you think of this case? This is my fact I have for the Heat. I really for the Heat to win, because let's be honest, we just made arguments for why they can't win, right? Without Dragic, without Bam, they're not winning 4 games. It's not happening. Right? It's literally not happening. So for that to happen, though, how could that realistically happen? My theory is they would have to outscore the Lakers by at least 9 threes. So that would give you 27 more points. I mean, right? I mean, what else can you do?
Well, there's 2 things. Tyler Hero's got to stop playing like a rookie and man the hell up and stop being scared of the moment, because I don't know if it's the LeBron effect or, the moment. But
he's young.
No, he was playing like a beast before in the last rounds. It's like all of a sudden he got there and he heard his boys chirping like, you're the man, you're the best. And then all of a sudden he comes to the finals, he can't play. He looks like he's like, I don't know what the hell happened to him. I'm so disappointed because he's like one of my favorite players. And then
I thought he played okay in game 1.
I'm looking at Duncan Robinson, and I've got to shout my boy out here right now. James, you were tripping. He tells me after the last series against the Celtics, he's like, Duncan Robinson reminds me of a little Klay Thompson. I was like, he don't play no defense. He can't get a shot off the dribble. The only time he can ever do anything is when someone creates. And I don't know what's going on with them. Like, those 2 guys are key. If they do not show up, the Heat have no chance. No chance.
And that kind of led to my thought of them having to outscore them by so much in the 3-point range. It's because Robinson has struggled. If he can somehow get hot, that's really kind of their only hope in some ways, or hero, because in game 1, Robinson had 0 points. Not a good performance. That was as much as I had. Second game, 9 points. That's just not going to get it done, especially with Dragic out. They're going to need him to score. Tyler also had a funny tweet. He wrote, when is the last time an NBA team has won with 3 starting white Americans? That can't be a good so that might be, it could be, we have Kelly Olynyk out there, and or Myers Leonard. I mean, you're in trouble there. So game tonight, game 3, 6-10. The only other kind of interesting facts I thought from this game is LeBron has never been up 2-0 in an NBA final. So this is his first one. He's up 2-0. Lakers have out-rebounded the Heat 98-73 so far in the series. We'll see if that continues. That's a massive advantage. We're not shocked, obviously, but that continues to get tons of shots. And like I said, I think the only hope for the Heat is to get those 9. Let's outscore the Lakers by 9 in the 3-point range. So my last question to you, Case, before we move on to a quick little fun facts here with the NBA week. Well, just give me a short answer with it. Is this going to be the first year you think maybe LeBron doesn't win the Finals MVP? Does AD possibly take it from him? Because AD is just as deserving. What do you think? Do you think AD wins it this year? Or you think LeBron still gets the vote?
I don't think LeBron should. I think AD. Watching it's tough, man. I mean, LeBron's like the catalyst. He's the engine, but I'm kind of watching.
And their numbers are pretty right even, too. It's funny. They're like right there.
And I've looked at them, but I see AD playing. I'm like, he's
His
just
defense is more important, huh?
he's just better right now. I mean, he's younger. I mean, you watch him play. He just is abusing everyone. I mean, everyone.
Yeah.
Like when
I just feel like
like when I'm watching it, it's kind of like he's so good. He reminds me of a way, and people are gonna be like, "You're tripping." A way more athletic Dirk Nowitzki, but their games are similar.
they're a little cerebral like that. Well, I mean, they're definitely not the similar on defense.
No, not even. I meant their offensive game because he can shoot threes. He has a really good post up, but just a way more athletic, like just way more.
Yeah, maybe so.
Because they play
I'd
like
have to think
that
about that
high
one.
low, and then he can hit up spot up threes, and
So you
like
see him winning the MVP then this year over LeBron?
easily.
Well, that would be
If they give it to
big. That would be
LeBron,
big news.
if they give it to LeBron, it's because he didn't win MVP in the regular season.
That could be possible. I think. Well, I guess obviously we still have 2 more games to go there, so we'll see what happens. But I'm with you. I think right now through 2 games, it's AD's to lose at this point.
If you want to put a dollar on Myers Leonard, you probably win $1 million.
yeah. Let's put $25 on Myers' case. We could be billionaires if he wins it. Myers, that's a good one. Any of the white guys, you put your money on, you could be a billionaire. Any of it. So quick little news here. Doc Rivers takes over as the Sixers coach. After obviously he was fired this week from the Clippers, so he's now the coach of the Sixers. Somebody had a funny tweet this week. I don't know where it was from, but it was like mediocrity, Jordy mediocrity, or something like that, or not. It was something like not being clutch, joining not being clutch, or something like that. And I was like, that's a little cheap at Doc. I mean, the facts do kind of follow him in the sense that he has blown 3-1 leads on 3 different years. So I mean, that is a part of the history. I still think he's a decent coach. It's kind of a weird fit, I feel like, but the thing with Doc though is he's always was good with like the big man with like Rivers and or with Garnett, and when he went on to coach with like Griffin and Jordan, he was kind of able to figure that out a little bit. So we'll see if he's able to do anything there with the Sixers. It's a desperate move for both parties. Rivers is desperate because to win, and the Sixers are desperate to try to make this thing work before they have to blow it up between Embiid and Simmons. So I wanted to throw that little nugget out there. Also wanted to point out on Twitter, there's been a guy who really good knowledge on the NBA. I've been following him a little bit. He's at Baseline Hoops _1. He does a really good job tweeting out some NBA facts, and I've been able to tweet to him a few things. And he's been good. And him and Tyler got into question. I'll end it on this case. NBA is, should Luke Walton be a coach? Tyler says he should. This guy at Baseline Hoop says no. The reason they came up was because Buddy Hield isn't returning Luke Walton's phone calls apparently, because of anymore for the Kings. So this guy was saying that why does Luke have a job really to begin with? And I know Tyler's a big Luke fan, so I had to tell him that. And Tyler was not happy. He thought Luke should be a fan. He brought up the 39-4 start. I always kind of more question Luke as a coach, so I'm a little bit more on Baseline's side here. But Tyler, being one of our Fatboy friends here, where do you feel on the Luke Walton side of it? Should he be the coach?
Well, first of all, Luke's got to stop star 67, star 69. I'm like, you got to call him from a real number. You can't just call him from a fake number and an unknown number. Buddy Hield wants to see you. FaceTime him, call him, text him, show up at his house. I don't know, but to be real,
should he be a coach though? I guess no, that's my question. Like,
what I was getting at is, no, he shouldn't. I think he's a great guy. Good person. I don't know him, but just from like the Warriors, like Draymond, and I think his fit as an assistant coach. I think that's his perfect job. I think he's great at communicating and being that buffer zone. But when it comes to an NBA head coach, Tyler, I'm sorry, your boy, not so much.
We are supporting Baseline Hoops on this argument, Casey.
Sorry, Tyler.
We're supporting Baseline. So, anyways, he's a good follow case on Twitter, too. I recommend following him. Anybody who listens to us, he brings the knowledge there for sure. So it's been fun getting to talk to him about some of the basketball out there. So, anyways, good NBA talk this week. Next week when we talk, the finals is going to be over. I don't see this thing going 7 games. So when we see each other next Sunday, the finals will be wrapped up. We'll see if it's a sweep or not. And then we can start getting into our Warriors offseason, kind of thinking here how they're going to handle the draft. So that's our NBA here for the week. Me and Case will be back here to wrap it up. All right, welcome back, Fatboy FadeAway here. We're going to finish out our third and final segment here with Week 4 NFL and with the big one here, big topic here. A lot going on this week in NFL, my friends. Sadly, we have the COVID stuff starting to be a factor in the NFL. Kind of like in Major League Baseball, they're having to kind of deal with the Titans kind of being the first team to really have more than just one person get it. They have 8 players, 8 staff members. So their game with the Steelers has been postponed. Cam Newton comes out positive yesterday. That game, as of right now, has just been rescheduled for, I believe, Monday or Tuesday of next week. Yeah, that's what the plan is for in the NFL regard there. So kind of got off to a fishy start there. Not really the best start there for the NFL this week, but hey, let's be positive with it. Let's see if we can get it in. We said they're going to be stubborn with it. If Major League Baseball can do it, NFL can do it. So with that said, Case, let's get into some of our thoughts from last week here. What do you think? Right now, there's some really, really good teams out there. There's some undefeated teams out there. If you're one of the fan bases out there, what undefeated team out there are you feeling good about? So we got the Seahawks. We got the Steelers. We got the Chiefs. We got who else we got here? Hold on one sec. Give me 1 sec to bring it up here. We have who else we got that's undefeated? We got right here. Who we got? Our standings.
Come on, man.
Sorry, I didn't have it. Should have had it there. We got Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, Kansas City, Green Bay, Chicago, and Seattle. So out of those teams right there, what fan base are we kind of feeling good about? That's kind of like, more thinking, all right, we're feeling a little, feeling not buying it is more what I'm saying. Like what fan base is not necessarily buying their cup of their start.
Which one's not buying it?
Yeah. And you're a little pessimistic about it.
The Bears? You said 3?
Yeah. The Bears 3-0, not buying that?
No.
Not with Nick Foles out there starting the
No, not Matt Nagy. Sorry, I can't do it. I mean,
I'm kind of with you on that one. That seems like the obvious one, right? But Nick Foles is the quarterback now.
No, Nick Foles. He played
he did win a Super Bowl.
God, I'm so tired of people saying that crap. He won a Super Bowl. Yeah, he played freaking 3 great games. Okay. And he played well in the playoffs the next year too. In life, if you work 3 great days at work, would they give you millions of dollars? No.
Certain people, yes.
Yeah. I'm not saying
depends how good your 3 days are.
I'm not saying what he did wasn't remarkable, and Philly loves him for life, and people from Philly are probably back me right now for saying we want Nick Foles back. We want Nick Foles. Carson Wentz sucks, and it's like, no, your team sucks. It's not his fault. But
all right, so you're definitely not buying the Bears. That's if you're the fan base. If you're the Bears fan base, you're not buying. I'm sure the Bears are, maybe a little. If Mitchell Trubisky was in, I'd definitely be a little bit more nervous about it. But now with Foles in, we'll see. I think you'll like my pick today too. So we'll see. We'll see where you go with that. So let me throw it the other way. I'll answer it first. Is what 0-3 team are we? Even the most is the most disappointed. Like where are we at if you're an 0-3 team? So we got the Falcons. We got the Falcons here. We got the Jets. We have the Giants. We have Minnesota that still hasn't won. Houston and Cincinnati. Where do you sit? I mean, there's a few arguments, right? Like if you're Atlanta, you could say we've been in every game, but there might also be there might not be a more heart-wrenching 0-3 than them. And then you have a team like the Jets where you say, well, they're 0-3, and then that's where it's the old school Raider mentality that we used to have is they're so bad that they're not even watchable. Like the season could be over right now and you'd be happy if you're a Jets fan.
I wish they would do what they did with the old Raider games and just black out the Jets.
Blackout. If you're a New York fan, you're like, that was the good thing about being a Raiders fan is they would black out the local game. And we'd be like, oh, that's all right. We don't want to watch
cool.
that game. We don't want to watch that game anyways. That's fine.
I mean, it's
We're good.
terrible. I mean, like,
hey, brother.
Oh, and the Jets are so bad. I mean, they had the crack coach, Adam Gase, like, the first press conference. I'm like, dude, like, this guy hot as shit. Like, what the hell? Like, he's so bad. Like,
he's fired.
Oh, man. Like,
hey, at least Livy and Bill figured out a way to get paid from some organization. So we'll go with that.
Get it.
Hey, so a couple other things about last week I wanted to get into real quick was the ties. So Bengals and Eagles tie last week. I don't know. I still have an issue with the ties. That always kind of bothers me a little bit. The other thing was Dak Prescott. I kind of like when I was – because his game was on locally here against the Seahawks. And I don't want to talk about the Cowboys that much, but he feels like a relief pitcher that gets like 45 saves. But it's more the relief pitcher got the 45 saves, not necessarily because he's like a lockdown closer, but more because the team puts him in position to get 45 saves. Does that make sense? Like you know what I mean? Like they're up by 3 enough. It's like they're not necessarily dominant closers. Just their team kind of provides them with these saves. Sometimes I think that way about Prescott. Like last week, he gets like 400 like almost 50 yards of passing. He does this a lot of times, and I'm like, is this more a product of his team being down a lot of the time, or you know what I mean? Like. Because when I watch him, I'm not thinking he's a superstar by any means, but he gets great stats, and I feel like they're kind of empty calories in a sense. So that I kind of noticed as well. And then final thing I noticed too, of course, I got to mention our Raiders is their D still sucks. I mean, they cannot ever get stops when it matters. So those are my 3 little takeaways from the week there from the hit. Any of those 3 you want to touch on, or maybe add one there?
The Raiders' defense is like literally like a stop sign in a neighborhood. You just go through it. You're like, yeah. I looked at it, but we're good. I'm just gonna keep going. Like, it's so bad, man. Like, it's just like, man, their corners are actually like okay. Their linebackers are trash. I'm like, man, like you always used to bag on me. Like our best linebacker was what, Kirk Morrison. Like, this is not a good sign. I hate this team.
Oh, Kirk Morrison was always the worst there.
Littleton, he's actually not bad. It's just everyone else is so terrible around him. Like,
no, Littleton's not bad. You're right.
Do you remember? I'm blanking.
They never get the ball back to the offense. Like if they do, it's like they get the ball back when they have to go 80 yards again. Like when they got an interception last week, when Abrams got the interception, I was shocked. I was stunned. I was literally stunned. I
think he's
he's the only good player, and that's the only other reason I'm very worried about them this week. And let's maybe get into now next week or this week coming up.
Ohio State's actually pretty good too. He's not bad,
but he's out this week.
Yeah, no, he's actually one of the best.
And Abrams might be out too. So and they have a few other guys out too. So their secondary could be in trouble this week. Is I guess the point I'm getting at.
And they're playing against who are pretty.
Let's get into this week, Case. Let's get into our picks now. You did very good last week. You were 4-1 last week. You came off a 2-3 struggle, and then you forfeited your week 2 picks because you were out on assignment. So you weren't able to on that one. So let's get you're on a roll a little bit, getting your 4-1 now. Let's give you the first crack this week at the picks. I want to shout out our at Clint Highshoe for pointing out yesterday. He tweeted me that hopefully you put in those Patriot Chiefs bet early this week because the line was like Chiefs -7, and now obviously it's going to probably go up a little bit more because with Newton being out. So I figure let's not bet on that game just because just to be fair for us. We don't know what's going on. So we'll stay away from the Chiefs-Patriots game, but every other game is fair game, except for obviously the Titans-Steelers as well, since that game is postponed. So, Case, you have first crack this week at the games, at the picks you had this week. So let's hear it.
I'm going to start with
who we putting our money on this week, my friend?
I'm going to go with my Super Bowl prediction. Start with the Browns versus the Cowboys. Skip Bayless.
Taking the Browns.
Skip Bayless will not appreciate this, but Shannon Sharp may. Put a case of Mountain Dew on this one.
Diet Mountain Dew.
Diamond Mountain. Yeah, get it right. No shooters, no chasers, just straight. I'm going with the Browns, and I'm going to take because the Cowboys are favored by 3.5. So I think the Browns are probably going to win by a touchdown. I'd say by 6. I think Cowboys, Cedee Lamb. I don't know. We were talking about this a little before. I'll give it a little early start, but my fantasy player of the week is definitely from that game. I'm taking Cedee Lamb. I think he's going to go off.
He's due.
Up to 200 yards receiving and a couple tubs. But
against the Browns, that's a good call. All right, hey, you got Cleveland, right? You have them. Dallas is favored by 4.5, so you have Cleveland as the underdog.
We might have a different line, but I had 3.5.
It's 4.5 now, so that's where it's at now. So you got 4.5 there. So
okay,
who do you have on that one?
I'll rattle them off real quick. I got the Ravens, 14.5. Seems like a lot, but they are playing Washington.
And they lost last week, so they might be pissed.
And then the Cardinals, I got them destroying the Panthers.
2020.
I mean, they give it 3 points. I'm like, yeah, I'll take the Cardinals all day on that one.
Okay.
McCaffrey. I mean, come on now. Rams on the Giants, 13.5. It seems like a lot, but they got no Saquon. And the Rams, though, and I kind of flipped on it, but I'm taking the Rams in this one. The Giants suck. I mean, all New York teams.
Okay, so
suck.
you got Cleveland. Just so I'm clear, you got Cleveland. You got the Rams, right?
Yes, sir.
Cleveland, Rams, Ravens, and then give me the other two here. Cardinals, and what's your last one there?
I'm gonna go with an upset here. I'm going.
Okay,
Eagles.
upset special. As
much as I on them, and I was like, I feel like I'm going backwards on this, but I'm taking the Eagles over the Niners.
Oh wow, it's not a terrible play. That's they're getting 7.5 there, so that's not a bad play at all there. So
we might have a different line. I'm going by ESPN, so.
Well, I'm going by the one I texted you and I showed you yesterday when we left the house. So that was the one I go with yesterday.
So these might be updated, so we'll see.
Well, and we talked about this on the last podcast. They change every day, so you got to do the same one we send you. So we do So the one I sent you on Saturday is why I tried to explain yesterday, people, when I met with the man. But it's all right. It is what it is. So, anyways, those are your picks on the lines there. So you got Cleveland, LA Rams, Ravens, Cardinals, and Eagles covering the lines this week. I have one game that is similar. We bet on Dallas, Cleveland. The only difference though is I don't feel the same way you do about Cleveland, obviously. So I'm going with Dallas. The only thing that Dallas does struggle with that I'm a little worried about is they're 0-3 this year against the spread. So I am going a little bit against that. And the other thing that maybe kind of worries me about Dallas a little bit in taking them is they play the fastest pace in the NFL. They get a snap off every 19.8 seconds. So sometimes when you do that, you keep teams in the game, or the game can be high scoring. You can fluctuate quite a bit. So that is my concern. Some of the stats worry you. So if you are better out there, maybe that will push you away from it and maybe side with Casey a little bit more on this one. But I'm going to go with Dallas. I just don't trust Baker enough yet. And I feel like them winning 2 in a row, they're due for a loss. And you even said it, Cedee Lamb could have a big week this week. So I think I'm going to take I feel confident taking Dallas in that one. I would feel very good about that one. My other one I'm going to go with, and we talked about this a little bit earlier. You ripped on him a little bit, but I'm going to take him and have his back in this, is Nicholas Foles. I'm going to have take his back. I feel like they're +3. He's getting 3 points at home against the Colts. I just don't trust Rivers enough, really. He just always seems to play tight games, and I just think the Bears are better with Foles. I mean, Foles came in, threw for 185 yards, 3 touchdowns when he did come in. I do realize that does happen with backup quarterbacks, but I like the Bears definitely in this game over the Colts. I feel very confident about that one as well. The one that I am a little tricky on, I was talking with Nick about this last night. He was trying to talk me out of it slightly, but I just kind of believe in Joe Burrow enough, and I believe in our one subscription follower from Cincinnati. So I'm going to go with Joe Burrow from the Bengals. I just feel like he's playing better, and I feel like the Bengals are like that young team that's like, they're not going to have a good season, but like they're still going to win a game. You know what I mean? And I kind of feel like this might be the game they win. So I'm going to take them they need to win by more than 2.5. So I think they can win by a field goal. So I'm going to take the Bengals there. My final two are I'm doing the over under. I have the Saints and the Lions. That the number there is 54 points. I feel like that game is going to easily go over 54 points. I feel very confident in that one. And then the other one that I'm not sure about, but I feel like just based on the way Atlanta's playing, it should go over, is Atlanta versus Green Bay. That number is at 56.5. But I feel like that game, Atlanta's, they're blowing games, but they're still scoring a lot of points. And so is Aaron Rodgers. So, you give me those two quarterbacks and those receivers, I'm feeling confident that we can get over 56 points total. So those are my 5 games for the week.
In that
Anything
Saints
jump
game,
out to you?
In that Saints game, Will Thomas and Jared Cook are out too, though.
I do. I feel like there's bad defense in that game somewhere, and I just feel like there's a chance to have get some touchdowns. Is my point.
The Saints are missing, I think it's like 8 total players or 6. I mean, Marshawn Lattimore's out. They have another few guys that are out on defense, so you might be right on that.
Well, I appreciate you making me feel like shit about my pick, but no, I'm just kidding. As Dave would say, when keeping it real goes wrong. Exactly. So those are our picks for this week. Let us know what your picks are. What you have for the week. It's fun. It's been fun doing it. I think we need to start doing it put a little bit real in there a little bit, make it a little bit more interesting, a little coin in there a little bit. But that's a good start for us. For Casey again, 4-1 last week. If you feel confident in his picks again this week, so he's going with the ESPN lines over there. Casey, you want to go? I'm going to go with but just to keep them simple, we're going to go with my lines. That's the same. So we're going to go Cleveland, Rams, Ravens, Cardinals, and Eagles. That's who Casey has. DraftKings lines. Those are the ones we want to follow this week. But I like your picks, Case. I like mine. Let's see how we do this week. Tyler, I'll get his, and we'll put it online, and we can keep our competition going. Tyler right now is currently in last place, holding up the rear. Casey, you are currently in first place.
Mark Ingram, big trust over here.
Big trust. I'm 1 game behind you, so we'll see if I can catch you today in the league. So, Cedee Lamb, Fantasy Player of the Week. We like that. Here's our picks for the week. Game of the week, the game we are most forward looking to before we get out of here. Case, do you have a game that you are specifically looking forward to?
The Raiders. Bills, Raiders. Love it. Man,
Always the Raiders.
Man, it's going to be 3-0 versus 2-1. Raiders.
I'm glad you said that game. I have a couple facts.
Go for it, man.
Again, how do we feel about that Raiders crappy D? The players like, Abrams is a beast, but they have guys like their rookie from Ohio State that he aggravated his broken thumb, so he's out. The only thing that the Bills that I do like was the Raiders is Allen is still kind of like that quarterback that I don't know if I could completely trust yet. I don't know if I feel good about gambling on him. Could I put my money on Jared Allen? I'd feel a little unsure about that. You know what I mean? So we'll see if he can prove us wrong this week. I do think the Bills are definitely the more talented team.
I think Ruggs is gonna. I think they're gonna, finally let him go. I think he's gonna have a good game. I think the Raiders are gonna.
I like that. I like that call.
And
I like that call. Ruggs is due for a big one.
I don't know if Jacobs. He's solid as always, but I think Ruggs this might be his breakout game.
Yeah, he had a good first game, then had that injury, and that kind of I think set him back a little bit here with his speed. So,
smell that. Smell it, man. Just throw it.
Smell it. The one thing that Carr, I've never heard that before. The one thing Carr is good at is throwing those 5-yard passes. So maybe that's why he'll do a lot. Check down Carr. Check down Carr. That's what I call him. Check down Carr. But anyways, Case, that was good. We're doing our NFL this week. So those are our picks. Tune in next week. We'll have a little bit more on the NFL. Brian, I know your Niners are out there playing the Eagles tonight. Go get them. I know Nick Mullins is your boy now, so it's Eagles. Niners are favored by 7, so we'll see what happens there. Or 7.5. So we'll see, Case, if you can. That's a tough one there. So I like how you went with the Eagles, and that's a good pick. They do have Debo and Kittle back tonight. That should only help out the Niners more. The Eagles, for people that are betting on the game, just to throw it out there, they are not going to have Deshaun Jackson. They're not going to have Alshon Jeffrey. they're going to have 2 active wide receivers on their roster tonight. I might be a little concerned if you took them, but Casey, you had the balls to do it. Well done. Let's see what happens tonight. It's like me with the Saints and Lions over. So we're both taking a little chances on, I guess, it today. So NFL, that was fun with you doing the podcast with you this week, Case. Good to have you back, my brother. And have a good week. Enjoy the basketball tonight and enjoy the football. Hopefully, follow Casey at Briare Twitter. Follow at Tyler McGurk, Fatboy FadeAway. Hopefully, he can join us next week. And then you got me. I'm doing the Fatboy FadeAway at Fatboy FadeAway Twitter. So we'll see you out there on Twitter today. Have a good week, Case. Later.
Get at me Sunday. Enjoy it. Bless.
Yeah.